Happy Saturday. I'm Larry the Lion. This is my podcast. I'm just showing up. That's all I'm doing is showing up. Sub 2 Q&A today with Pace, family night. He hasn't been with us for about a couple weeks. Freaking amazing. he ended up talking the whole time. But what he was talking about was really important and impactful. And, just here, let me play what he said real quick. It's on my Instagram and Facebook story, but let me get this. I made a bunch of these. All right. It was 1 minute, but it was right here. On average, in order to be in the top 1%, write this down. In order to be in the top 1% of podcasts in the world, you only need to publish 21 episodes of your podcast. Hey, Dorina. And Eric says you don't need to be the best, just show up. Just show up. I would say in order to be the best, just show up. In order to be the best, just show up. You don't become the best, you don't become the top of the top because you are the best. You become the best because you just show up. That's literally it. There's nobody else. That's the thing. Nobody else that will just show up. Nobody. It is the Landon Moore says that's the filter. It's the only filter in business. The people who just freaking show up. Jennifer Champion says we have 20 episodes. So Pace was talking about that, just showing up, to be in the top 1% of podcasts. All you gotta have is 21 podcast episodes. I got like 400. I'm in the top 1% of all podcasts. And then I was looking at some numbers on Safari here. How many podcasts? There is 100 million people listening in 2024. To be in the top 1%, there's only 700,000 active podcasts. And if we only look at that, 500,000 of those 700,000 are only one episode. So Pace was saying there's literally, you have no freaking competition. You have no competition, right? So there's only 74,000 podcasts that are on weekly. And Pace was talking about, just show up. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm committed to this. Like Alex Hormozy says, he started his podcast 6 years ago. It took years for him to get where he was. And he started out, a media team. It compounds. Pace was talking about how it compounds by just showing up. Just showing up will put you in the top 1%. And it's so important to have a podcast. But what else he was talking about is community day. So, like I said, I'm committed to this for 10 years. The story I'm going to tell is, thank you, brother. Nice to see you, Anthony. He was talking about being a cockroach. Just showing up every single day. Cockroach just shows up, right? So I'm a cockroach. That's how I got where I am today, from where a cockroach was living. I'm still a cockroach, but I got to a better place. I'm not in the gutter. I'm not a gutter cockroach. I'm a middle class cockroach now, trying to be a luxury cockroach, right? Hey, Priestess Vanessa, nice to see you. Instagram. But the biggest thing that
Alex Hormozy was saying is longevity. If you look at anybody, it's longevity. Mr. Beast, that guy's crazy. And like Pace, he gives this all away. Hormozy gives it away. Mr. Beast, he doesn't charge anything for his content or whatever, but he makes his money through his cookies and shit like that. Same with in Hormozy, he gets his money through acquiring other businesses and Pace, through doing deals with people, right? So this is about the story I'm going to tell you is about just showing up. And what Pace was talking about, I was really proud that he included my name with people like Myron Briley and Carolyn, and Jordan Witten. When he was saying people who go to these masterminds and these events and sub-2 meetups and are always there meeting people and connecting with people. And he said my name. I was like, yes, pretty cool. Hey, Latitude on Instagram. So being the cockroach and just showing up was kind of how I started my journey. The things that, and he was talking today about the, not the person, I don't know the person he was talking about, but one of his business partners, friends, how his dad never said he was proud of him, right? Exactly my story. My mother never would tell me she believed in me. Whatever I was asking her for, or never would say, I love you, I believe in you. Oh, I'm praying for you. You know that she would never say the words that she believed in me, that she loved me. Never said she was proud of me either. After I thought about that, really. So when Pace told that story, it really hit home. And see, I'm getting better. Tigger told me once I can start telling my stories without crying, that means I'm healing. Part of that brings that to where I'm going to start the story. Next week, I think it's Tuesday, Dr. Shannon Lee Sperber, Cody Sperber's wife, is doing a somatic breath work, right? So I signed up for that because it helps release trauma and pain. Just like I went with Tigger when she was here. And hey, Chris, thank you, brother. I went to a psychic meeting and I was blocking things. I wasn't trying to, let things out. And Tigger had wrote all these notes down. Like, you got pages of notes from pretty trust on being on cloud nine, new abundance, financial fund of funds. I disagree. Wow. And I've only read them once since we did that. But when Pace was saying about using that trauma, that pain, save that trauma for your mom or whatever. Yeah, this is about my mama. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that pain because I never given up. Never gonna give up. And I'm always gonna show up. Grateful for that. That pain that pushed me to that edge where I found sub-2 in this community. Without going through all of that, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't have this community. So we'll rewind back to middle of April 2022. I was like 2 months clean, right? I had started eating one meal a day, fasting out of necessity, out of money. Um, I was losing weight. I was 444 pounds when I had started on that Super Bowl Sunday. 444.4 pounds. I got a digital scale. Always remember that number, angel numbers. Because I do everything by angel numbers. So going down this journey, Pace just started talking about the Gator program. I didn't have the money to join Sub 2. I didn't have money even for the $1,300 down payment. So Gator was free the very first class, May 1st, 2022. But there was a but. You had to have your Prime Corporate Services set up. So I was still on vacations, mini vacations to Vegas, working in Chinatown there at the office. And I'd do my one meal a day at like different restaurants and stuff. And I was doing 70. No, I wasn't doing 75 hard yet. I hadn't got to that point yet. There was a chance, there was Clever Summit was coming up. I didn't have money to buy a general admission ticket. Then there was a virtual ticket, and Pace was giving away NFTs to a house. You would own an NFT part of a house, right? Whatever happened with that? Pace was like, yeah, houses are going to be able to do NFT attractions. Yeah, I did 75 hard, brother Anthony. So I didn't even have the money for the virtual ticket because it was like May 21st or something, 24th, 22nd. Yeah, it was something like, I think the Clever Summit was 24th through the 26th or something, right? And I didn't have money even for the NFT. I had to save up for my PCS, which was $1,950. Then there was Cole Hatter, who was partners with Kobe Swerver in the Clever Summit. One of the speakers, his mom asked for volunteers in the creative financing group. I was like, shit, let me go volunteer. All I was hoping for was to have Pace walk by, I wasn't expecting, thought I'd just be, handing out flyers or something. I don't know what kind of volunteer worker. I just knew I wanted to be there. But so I volunteered and went there Friday night at Clever Summit. Cody Sperber's wife, Dr. Shannon Lee Sperber, she was, running things in the back behind with Cole Hatter's mom. And so she had made me like, not security, but I was the biggest guy. She kept put me by the VIPs, keeping people out or where they're eating. But that was Saturday morning. Friday, I just kind of watched the door. And they fed like the volunteers, and I had like did my one meal a day. And I was telling her about that. How I spilled my guts to everybody. Tell her, oh my god, it was even worse then. But hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. So had I not volunteered, had I not gotten into that room, like Paige was saying, to be a cockroach, I was just showing up I just wanted to show up. I wasn't a sub 2 student. I wasn't a gator yet. I just had a dream. I'm 2 months clean. And I just showed up. On Saturday, I almost didn't go back Friday night, after Friday night. It was so amazing. I met Robert, Lewis, and Christina uh, from Florida, my very first two sub 2 friends. She had a hat that she bought on Fremont Street that lit up. It said sub 2. So I knew she was sub 2. And I really didn't understand the hats until I saw all the sub 2 students there at Clever Summit. So Friday night after I got home, I'm like, shit, I need to work tomorrow. I knew I had to get in Gator. And if I didn't get in Gator, I was also at the point of like, this shit is too hard. I'm just going to give up. And if I went back Saturday and Sunday to volunteer again, I risked not having the money I needed by May 1st to set up my prime corporate services. So me being the cockroach, like they said, just showing up, I posted in the creative financing group that I was scared to go back. I was scared if I didn't go back. Both had implications, right? Tommy Thornburg, president of PCS, Prime Corporate Services, reads my post at like 4 in the morning. I wake up, because I'm trying to sleep until I'm still trying to learn how to do all this stuff, I mean, I was like 2 months clean. I was like trying to, but I had just bought my iPhone because Pace wouldn't be my friend if I wouldn't. I was making okay money doing the vacation sales. What's it say? Hey, Marina. Nice. And but I was running wire to wire still and going down this journey. And Tommy said, I love that you were vulnerable, that you took action. Come by my booth in the morning. We'll take care of you. So I was only like $700 short. But him and Steve, the owner of PCS, actually ended up gifting me my entry, the full boat of PCS services. Pretty freaking amazing. Because I showed up. Because I was a cockroach. Because I am a cockroach. And that's how I got where I'm at now, because I keep showing up. Showing up broke, but have I got a shit ton of, and somebody 2 days ago, I'm not going to say her name, just like Pace said. She asked me why I go to all these meetups, why I don't have more deals. And I had one of my Calendly appointments. Some guy from Canada, I'm not going to say where, but he also asked, why don't you have more deals? What, been doing this since May 1st, a Gator. If I don't get another deal in my life and I get to spend time with this community and fly all over the country to events, meetups, masterminds, I'll be happy. 100% happy. So that was about, like I said, being consistency and just showing up. Just like my podcaster. I'm in the top 1%, like Pace said, because I'm showing up. I'm committed to this for 10 years. I ordered off of Amazon an actual microphone. I know I've been doing it since December 22nd, 2022. You'd think I would have bought a microphone, but I've been wire to wire on everything else, just like that. Like, don't tell Pace, but I still gotta get the car finished, registration. No, Jay Jarvis knows that. I talked to her about that. But I'm just gonna keep showing up. I'm never gonna give up. And which means we get back to Limitless and Jordan Wittenberg. Join sub 2 September 23rd. Awesome. Thank you, Sonia. Appreciate you. So go back to PCS again. Fast forward. I'm just showing up. Just got out here to Phoenix. Pace buys us 500 tickets to Limitless. I had some airline credit left over. Well, Gator's still good too. We'll get you in. We'll get you a deal and get you into sub 2. Don't worry about it. You're part of the community. That's the most important part. However you got to get in, however you start, is getting into this community. So, man, I had this airline credit. I was like, but I knew if I didn't go, and me and Tigger were working on this Airbnb house. It was gonna be like 8 bedrooms, 6 baths, 2 kitchens, hot tub. It was in Salt Lake City where Limitless was. So I was like, I gotta go because I want to go look at this property because something just wasn't right about their numbers, and we didn't have any, we were trying to get it under contract, right? But so I fly up there, and who did I run into? The very first person I ran into was Jordan Wittenberg from Idaho. We ended up hanging out together. We went upstairs. We missed where everybody else was, and I didn't even get to see Pace while I was at Limitless. But me and Jordan ended up getting a suite, one of the box suites up top with a leather couch, refrigerator, and drinks in there. And it was like, and they didn't cost us anything. It was just like, we just sat down and started. Oh, it was so cool to watch it up from up at that height too. But that's where I knew I wanted to be on that stage one day, Limitless, telling my story. Like Tigger says, if I can tell my story like today, I haven't cried yet. It's not over. I still might cry. Um, but Instagram's frozen. I don't. It's my internet, but sorry, Instagram, if I'm frozen on there. Anyways, so after the Limitless, we had a meetup at the PCS headquarters. And when I got there a little bit late, there's another story. And a couple other sub 2 students, love them to death. We got there late. I stayed with them. I can't think of her name right now. Instagram ended. All right, let me just remove it. Hold on, sorry. Oh well, Instagram is gonna miss the end of this. It's more important that I do this on my YouTube though. This story. So I walk in and instead of she's going to park the car. Her boyfriend and husband didn't come. David and Patty Bowers. He was tired. He didn't want to just come to the meetup. But luckily we did. And Patty's brother or cousin was supposed to come go look at this property with me, this $1.2 million property that me and Tigger were going to finish what was started on it, the fix and flip that they were doing, but we were going to hold it for Airbnb or midterm, right? Well, he didn't show up. We're at the meetup. I walk in, I see Tommy up on the stairs. I go up there to start Tommy. Then I got to meet Steve, the owner. And Steve, this goes back to being consistent in showing up. Steve tells me he's been watching my podcast. I'm like, what? Really? Owner, PCSY? What? Really? Wow. Okay, so cool. I thank both of them. I'm like, man, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. Helped me get into Gator. I wouldn't have been. And I almost got kicked. So, let me go back to Clever Sound real quick. So, Dr. Shannon Swerver, who I'm going to go do the breath work and release the rest of the pain in this, past. Like Pace was saying, be grateful for my mom not ever telling me that she believed in me, and the abuse. I was abused. Thank you for that trauma. And that's why I walked away from my family. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that trauma because I'm becoming the man that I'm supposed to be now. Should have that ding threw me off. So when I went to go, we were at Pace had bought everybody food. Dan Fleischman was there. We had a taco truck there. Didn't have a GC. All of a sudden, Patty found a GC in line. He was a real good one, real legit one. Connected with me and him drove out to the house because we were supposed to go. Her brother's supposed to go look at the house in the morning with me and tell me what his thoughts were. GC and give me an estimate. The agent and her husband said it only needed $35,000 worth. I took this GC out there and he told me it's like $135,000, and he went through everything that gave me a real good estimate. So that killed the deal. But when I was in there looking, I'm nosy. I looked through everything. I opened up a cabinet to find a glass, and there was only one glass. And I tested the refrigerator, got some ice, and drank some water. I was thirsty, right? But I found this little notebook in one of the drawers, and it is because the agent had 4 daughters and a son. Claire's diary, right? And I'm like, I'm about ready to give up again. I'm like, can't get, I lost a couple of deals like with Kevin Cho, and me had one, and a couple others fell through with Sam and Cody. I was like ready to give up again. I find this in child's writing with a pencil, barely readable. It says it's okay to be afraid, but it's not okay to give up. Claire. I felt like it was meant for me to find that, right? So just showing up, being consistent. We didn't get that deal, but I kept showing up, kept on going. Come back to yesterday. After Limitless, there was Substitute Disney, there was Dealmaker Scottsdale, that WealthCon. Pace gave me the car, golfing with him. Then we had Golden Ticket, Closers Octagon, Tigger was out here. Super Bowl Pace 2 years later, right? Go from the streets of Vegas to the gutter, being a cockroach, that kind of cockroach, chasing drugs and hookers and gambling, to being a cockroach in real estate in this community and helping others, just showing up. I realized at Limitless I wanted to be on that stage with Pace. I wanted to be on the stage with Ed Milet and all those guys, Bradley and Ryan Pinedo, all those people, right? But I want to have a story to tell. I want to be able to tell it without crying, right? Doing pretty good today. Go back to backstage. Shannon Swerver, she had Dr. Shannon Lee Swerver. She had helped me a Saturday morning, keep the people out of where the VIP area was. That was my job now. Back there, and little beknownst to my time, there's a woman walking around with 2 kids, and it's Indian woman, beautiful, gorgeous eyes. She walked up and says, "Have you tried this?" And I'm like, "No." I'm standing by the door, and there's food, all the food there for the VIPs. She goes, "How about this?" I'm like, "Nope." And she's like, "Have you eaten anything?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, why not? You need to eat." And I go, "Well, I have to wait until the VIPs are done, and then Dr. Sperber said I could eat. I'm doing 1 meal a day." I tell her that I already lost like 30 pounds. She's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." She goes, "I need to lose weight." I was like, "No, you're beautiful. You have gorgeous eyes." Turns out that woman was vegan Jetty. I didn't know it at the time. And I told her that story again in Miami last May. And she remembered it, and she laughed. She was like, "Oh my God, I forgot about that." Venus, one of my best friends. Um, Another mentor. Oh, see, I'm getting misty here. Um, but then all the VIPs were done eating. Pace, Jamil, Vina, uh, Ryan. I didn't know who Vina was at the time. I didn't know she was Vibe Funds and multifamily until the next day when I heard her speak. Dan Fleischman, Ed Miley, Cody Sperber, Cole Hatter, a few others there, Robert Kiyosaki. They're all walking out after finishing silence, right? They walk by me, and Pace is like in the middle of them. And I was like, "Hey, Pace." They all turn around. Pace walks over to me, looks me in the eye, and starts shaking my hand. And I'm like, "I'm going to be your best student." He just shook my hand, no facial expression, turned and walked away. That was the first time I met Pace. So, if I wouldn't have been a cockroach, like I said, if he wouldn't have been a cockroach, if the bad shit that happened with Corbin, his brother, God bless him, God rest his soul, I survived. If that wouldn't have happened, if the stuff with my mother wouldn't have happened, and my father dying Thanksgiving morning, losing my business, my future, because that was my bowling alley. Look, make no mistake, he told me every day it was. If I wasn't a cockroach, I wouldn't have been chosen to sit backstage. I wouldn't have met Pace that day. I wouldn't have got into Gator and all the other shit that's happened since then. If I wasn't a cockroach, I wouldn't have gotten the car that started Sub 2. So many things because I was a cockroach, because I am a cockroach, because I show up, because I'm a little consistent. um, I wouldn't be getting this deal with Caroline Kane helping me with this pre-foreclosure that I walked because they showed up because I went to go door knock solar, which I'm going to go do here for a couple hours. And then I'm going to go out to Queens Creek. And there's this family place out there, miniature golf, barbecue. And check that out tonight. But let me get that back to showing up. The whole point of me showing up was I went yesterday to show up at Ray's Fest. And I was the one to tell. I'm glad Pace didn't let me tell this story because it would have took too long. It would have hogged up everything. Thank you, Sonia. Hey, Dan, I was just talking about you. Your ears must have been burning. Talking about Limitless. Thank you for letting me stay with you there. If I wouldn't have showed up, if I wouldn't have been a cockroach, right? I wouldn't be sitting here today. Shit. So I had to choose between Squat Up Summit and Limitless. I mean, not Limitless. Raise Fest, which is happening right now again today. And I had to work Thursday night, or else I would have been there to go network, even though I didn't have a ticket. I would have went there to go network, and I would have went to go today, except we had family night this morning. It was so important that I saw this family night. Yeah. Exactly. You're actually where you're supposed to be. You deserve good. Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm supposed to be right here. So by me showing up, being that cockroach, I went to show up yesterday again, and when Pace said you want to do a meetup, I had already been talking to Jill Jensen trying to get something for Jesse Stanton, who I didn't even get to see last night. Jesse Stanton, I didn't. You should have texted me that you were there. My bad. God, it wasn't. We weren't meant to meet at that moment. Everything happens, which brings me to my story. There's moments in time that you had to be at a certain spot at the right moment for this shit to happen, and it was God ordained. I got you, Chad. I got you. I'll show you how to do the Instagram, everything. Get it all set up for you. You can do LinkedIn, you can do Twitter, you can or X, you can do multiple Facebook pages, YouTube, Twitch. I got you. Chad, I met Chad almost closed the deal for me at the very first deal maker in Tampa. That wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been a cockroach where I was on a train to Florida and I'd just been showing up. So other sub 2 students helped me get to Tampa. Abraham Gray became my friend because he was trying to find me a place to live, but he didn't have a pad split in Tampa. But he let me volunteer at the deal maker in Tampa because I'm a cockroach and I'm going to show up. So yesterday I show up at Raise Fest, right? I have shit ton of stories. Sorry for cussing. I got to watch that. I'm getting good. I showed up at Raise Fest yesterday. And because of being consistent, because of just showing up, doing my podcast like Pace was talking about today, doing your podcast, showing up, being in the 1%. I'm sitting there. I walked in, the doors were closed. I didn't have a banner because I didn't pay for Raise Fest. So I went out to where the courtyard was. There's a few people out there, right? But I didn't recognize any sub 2 students, and I wasn't sure how to approach people that are for capital raising. My first time doing it, completely new to it. So I sit down and I'm doing a little bit on my phone, doing a little checking on Facebook or whatever, trying to see if anybody, getting my little dopamine rush for notifications from Instagram and Facebook. I'm sitting there. This guy walks over, British accent, nice looking guy, tall. Says they, because of me being consistent, being a cockroach, doing this podcast, this man says, "Hey, you're Larry, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Larry Parsons. I'm wearing this sub 2 hat, and he's got a thing on, and he goes, I go, are you a sub 2 student or capital raising? What are you here for? Or, because I just got there. He says, no, I'm sitting here on the phone because he was on the phone. He was like pacing around. I was sitting there, and he's like, my wife. I'm telling my wife. I'm talking to my wife in the UK, and I mean in Florida. He's from the UK, and he says, honey, there's a man sitting over there. I think I know him. I think been watching him online. He comes over and asks me, this guy, he's not part of the community. He just heard of Pace Morby. Pace had just spoken right before that. And I got there late. I could have gotten in there. They weren't even checking badges. Could have watched Pace talk. He comes up to me, says, "Hey, I've been following you since last year, since when you first got to Florida." He goes, "We never met." And I said, "Oh, did you go to Kalisha Carter's meetup or this and that?" And I was like, "Oh, not he never heard of Pace Morby till yesterday, right?" This guy turns out he's done 100 luxury flips a year. He's doing 100 luxury flips a year. He does some mentoring of his own. He's currently doing residential assisted living in Florida. He's a buyer. He's raising capital for, and he gave me some really golden advice about being at a raising capital event. People to avoid that will steal your time. Some real good fucking. If I would have been, and I had my Calendly appointments, I would have got there earlier if I hadn't had those. And if I would have got there a little bit later, we wouldn't have intersected. He might have just kept watching me online, or who knows. Maybe we would have met in another event in the future. But this man, just because me showing up and being consistent and being a cockroach, I'm gonna do some business with this guy. He offered to also help me. He said, "I love your journey," and he goes, "I want to help you." So if, like he said today, be a cockroach. You know, show up. Just show up. You're gonna be in the 1%. And it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard, but man, look at what it's done for my life by showing up and being a cockroach. And I was gonna. Avishkar was there. Avishkar is gonna help me start a fund to fund. I go from 2 years ago to streets, the gutters of Las Vegas, being a cockroach, to starting a fund to fund and raising $1 million. That's only the first one. He said 500,000, but I said we can do 1 million. So if I can do 500,000, I can do 1 million. If I can do 1 million, I can do 10 million. If I can do 10 million, I can do 100 million. And I'm going to, because I'm going to be a cockroach. I'm just going to keep showing up and not cussing like I almost did, and not crying. Tigger said, when I can tell my story without crying, I'll heal. 2 years. Almost got me. Almost did it. But I think that the breath work's going to really help next week. It's kind of cool that Dr. Shannon's going to do that. Kind of just full circle. I don't know, I guess circle or whatever, but going from finding the 1 minute Facebook ad to spending the Super Bowl with Pace 2 years later. Because I'm a cockroach and it keeps showing up. You don't get anything else out of this. Just show the fuck up. Take some action. That's my Clifton strength. I'm a futuristic activator. Woo. Competition and significance. They might be interchanged. I think could be significance, competition. Either way, that's my top 5. I'm an activator. I take action. I show up. Imperfect action, like Pace was saying. Everything I've been doing is imperfect because I'm learning to be a whole new person after being a completely different person. Being part of this community and having the best people on earth. That's why he said, you got to go to these meetups. You got to just show up. You got to go to these events. You're investing in yourself. You're gonna meet your business partners there. You're gonna meet people that you're gonna do deals with there. If I wouldn't have been a cockroach, I would have never met Sam Singh in Tampa. And I barely met him because I met him at Andres Bastardo's meetup where Pace didn't show up again. He said it was the first time he didn't show up yesterday for that meetup. He didn't show up for that meetup either. I caught you, Pace. 2 times he didn't show up. It's all right. We love you, brother. Thank you. But I wouldn't have met Sam. I wouldn't have got my first deal because I showed up. A lot of shit wouldn't happen because I showed up. Wouldn't you know? You just gotta show up, be consistent. I'm gonna do my homework later. Paste those, write down 15 things that you're grateful for. I can write a lot. The very first thing, though, I'm gonna grateful for Jesus. I'm grateful for sub 2. That's my number 1 and 2 there. I'm grateful for being able to breathe and be here today. Just having this breath and having another chance to go help somebody. Like, hopefully, no, I believe in 100% Caroline. And I know I always get attached to my deals, all the failures. But I know Caroline Kane's going to close this pre-foreclosure deal that I found by being consistent, being a cockroach, and showing up. And I could have just let her drive out of that driveway, but no, I had to ask her if she wanted solar. And then she told me the house was being auctioned off. And it's like it's God rewarding me too at the same time for showing up, being consistent, and just being a cockroach. I never thought I'd be happy to be called a cockroach because I was called a cockroach before when I was on the streets in Vegas and a couple other places. Fucking cockroach. I remember somebody. I have a semi-photographic memory, like Pace. Pace has a photographic, but I have semi-photographic. I remember that shit. And then that flashback when Pace said that. I remember exactly where it happened on Fremont Street in Bonanza, right on the corner. Guy called me a fucking cockroach. Well, I'm a different kind of cockroach today than I was 2 years ago. I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm grateful. Thank you. I'm also gonna start a power hour here in my 1-bedroom apartment. I got a couple things. I'm gonna get shit off of Temu. Oh, so I ordered that microphone on Amazon today. It was $52, but it said 44% off, and then there was a $10 off coupon. It was like for $21. Yeah, and it gets delivered tomorrow morning. Something I should have bought a long time ago. Since I'm doing this and I'm committed to it, I need a good microphone because I know the audio sucks. Like, it's part of the reason I don't go back and watch my previous episodes is because of the audio sucks. Hopefully it'll be better. Maybe it's just my voice. Maybe my voice just sucks. But anyways, happy Saturday. Go be a cockroach. Go show up. Just go show up. And I would love to have anybody on my podcast here. I'm actually going to start doing interviews instead of just. I think I had 14 months of telling my story, and I mean I'm still going to tell my story, but I want to hear other people's stories. I want to help other people get deals. I want to. If you need funding, get you connected with that. If you want to join Sub 2 and change your life like I did, DM me. I got a link. I can connect you with one of my best friends and another person that's so grateful for, Alicia Tompkins. Love this community. Love this community. So just keep showing up. Look, holy shit, I made it through 50 minutes. No crying. That's Shanny, my private money lender, hard money lender. Somebody sent me a deal this morning. I don't even know what it was. I just sent it to her. She's asking me, what's that? Jay Kirby. I haven't seen Jay in a while. How you doing, brother? I hope I see you at Squat Up Summit. And did we even ever get to meet while I was in Florida the whole time? I don't think we did. If we did, I'm so scatterbrained. Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, jump on my calendar. I am very intentional. I'm looking for people that have private money, hard money, private money partners, gators doing the EMDs because people bring deals like this one just now to me all the time. Becoming a better connector, focusing on it, but I'm also, going to be raising the capital. But I'm just got to focus on a podcast also at the same time. It's going to be hard as fuck. I'm going to do it imperfectly, but I'm going to take action and do it. I'm just going to show the fuck up. Show up. Just show up. That's, let me just play a couple more things from Pace here real quick. Here's the first video.
Hey, I apologize for people that heard me on stage yesterday. It's a little bit different. Obviously, when you're on the stage, I have 40 minutes to speak. And you have a keynote you have to deliver, and you want to be on time. And yesterday, I was on time. No, he said, I love the guy that was talking crap about me said, I love Pace Morby. I've learned so much from him. And in his case, actually one of our community members, he's like, I've gotten like 50 deals because of Pace, but what Pace doesn't talk about enough is how hard it is. And he's kind of full of crap. I'm like, isn't it funny how like a man, this is a very male thing, by the way. It's a very male thing to have another man change your life and then not give credit to that other man. Like, it's such a male trait. They don't want to pass on like gratitude and appreciation. They want to like take it for themselves. Men are very, very that way. Women are not so much.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, and yes, in general.
All right, so that was let me go to the next one.
Talking about podcasts here. Okay, I apologize for people talking about. Okay, to be in the top 1%, the top 1% of podcasts in the world, you only need to publish 21 episodes.
Hold on. Hey, Anthony, send me the details. But you got to get as much details as you can, like links, pictures, HUDs, everything.
Your podcast. Write that down. For you people that think I'm talking about freaking podcasts right now, I'm talking about whatever it is in your life that you are trying to accomplish. You guys are like, I need to be perfect, and I need to have the perfect outfit and the perfect thing. Y'all, I would show up with no pants and not brush my teeth before I didn't show up at all. I will show up imperfectly because I understand the compound effect of just showing up. Just showing up imperfectly, screwing it up. You know how many times I've bombed on stage? You know how many times I've failed at telling a story and I have to come back to you and go, oh man.
I didn't record anymore after it. I don't know why. I might have. There might be one more. Hold on. Let's see.
So in episode 20,
no, I didn't. Nope. So just show up. Just show up. It's the compounding effect, like you said. By me just showing up, all these things have happened for me because I showed up, because I was a cockroach. I got to pick the goat. I was a cockroach because I'm showing up all the time in the private stuff through Facebook, Venus group. I got picked to go to community camp, because I showed up and got in this community. I got to go to Limitless because Pace bought us a ticket. I met one of my best friends, business partners, and Tigger is my best friend, 100%. I'd say her and Elizabeth. Because I showed up, because I was a cockroach. I would have never met Tigger if I wouldn't have drove across country to go meet Pace at the first multifamily. I mean, how insane is that? Well, I mean, I am insane. Good insane. Just because I showed up, all everything I have right now, and I'm grateful for, like you said, came from that pain, that trauma. I had to go through 40 years of hell. I mean, longer, because the abuse started before my father had died. Um, I had to lose everything multiple times. Everything. People. Never had a girlfriend on Valentine's Day. But I chose drugs and trauma, which I released that trauma today. I let go of it. I embraced the future in this community and just gonna keep showing up because I'm a fucking cockroach. That's it. I'm a cockroach. I'm a sub-2 cockroach. And I just want to thank everybody else for being my friends. You know, somebody came up and also besides Ryan Wakefield, that's the man's name, Whitefield. Somebody else came up to me, Ashley, last night. She was just dying to see me. You know, people they come and it's really cool. It's really cool. I I'm releasing the imposter syndrome too. It's Venus' fault. She gave that to me, but Ashley's just like, I just had to come up here and see Larry Lion. I was like, really? And then another one, Andrea Garcia, same thing. Pretty freaking cool. I'm grateful. Like I said, I'm glad that pain, you know, because I released that pain, that trauma, but I needed that trauma to get to. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be helping somebody in the future if it wasn't for that trauma. I wouldn't be changing somebody's life. Like I know we're gonna help Linda's life, the woman with her daughter that had the pre-foreclosure who was counting on some other investor who promised her $30,000 and disappeared and isn't helping her. Gonna lose her house, supposed to live. I get to help with that. I help be part of that problem, and it helps me at the same time. It's a beautiful thing. Um, I need that. I need it so bad just to get caught up and get freed from the matrix. Even though it's from the door knock and doing the solar, it takes away a lot of time from other activities that are going to produce more fruit, like going to more masterminds, going to more sub-2 flying around the country doing my meetup magic. What do you have? What do you need? Podcast. I'm still speaking into existence. I'll be in Boston with Justin Tomanowski and Courtney, the sub-2 New England leaders. My friend Pamela Songcourse doing my first "What do you have? What do you need?" meetup magic. So you're gonna bring deals, and we're gonna get you funded, get your other deals dispoed, or we'll just make a friend and let people know who you are. Anyways, happy Saturday. Gonna end it here at 1 hour. I'm just gonna keep showing up, being a cockroach. Thank you, God. Thank you, sub-2, for this community on Earth. Thank you, Pace Morby. I love you, bro. Happy birthday again. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.